Hello, this is your evil twin, welcoming you to the finale of Let's Play Singularity.
This is it. This is where we set history right again. Use the TNT in the Singularity to open a rift to 1955. Then destroy the reactor with the E-99 bomb. Once the Singularity is destroyed, the truth of history will be restored. Go on now, Captain. Good luck.
Yes, it's been a long time coming, but here we are, standing before the Singularity reactor core, and equipped with a fully amplified time manipulation device. We're ready to set right what once went wrong. I hope you're right about this, Barasov. It looks like that control area is sealed off from the reactor core, so we shouldn't be bothered by anyone. And that's how the Singularity reactor is meant to look, rather than shooting a beam of energy through the roof and making a vortex in the sky. Anyone running about down here? Nope, looks like we're good. This machine in front of it looks familiar. It's the same kind of device that we used to charge the E-99 bomb. So if we throw that process into reverse, we can use the energy from the bomb to neutralize the Singularity. Oh. We're back in the present. Singularity's still there, but looks different.
Have fun on your trip down memory lane, Captain. You look surprised. All that effort to destroy the Singularity when all I had to do was simply rebuild it. Now, give me the TMD.
Don't rankle. We're missing something, but we can figure it out. We can still set things right.
Only the victors rewrite the history books. And you lost.
Only the victors rewrite the history books. That's it! The Singularity is not the problem. You went back in time and saved Demichev from being killed in the burning building. Remember? Changed, and he's what you have to change back. You cannot let Demichev live.
It won't work. You've already tried that, and failed. Don't you remember who else was there, Captain Renko? That other man was you.
He's right, Captain. You are the anomaly, which means the only way to correct the timeline is for you to stop yourself.
You mean kill himself? You're asking a man to sacrifice himself for something you've been mistaken about. How many times now? I'm not sure you're a reliable authority, Beresov.
Renko, don't listen to him. You can save the world.
So you say. But Captain, think about what you were before all of this. A drone in the hive. I can offer you a whole other life. Things you could only imagine. At your fingertips. Give me the TMD. And help rule the world.
Is this a world you want to be a part of, Renko? Look around you! Look at all the suffering this man has caused.
No visionary leader is without his critics.
Renko, he is not a leader. He's a mass murderer, a dictator. You must stop him at all costs. Use the TMD in the Singularity. Travel back in time and kill yourself.
Well, that certainly sounds like an attractive offer. Or you can prove your loyalty to me by killing Borisov, and I will grant you unlimited power. Make your choice, Captain.
And to make that choice, the game gives you a Centurion pistol, no matter what weapon you were using before. But yeah, really, Borisov? You sent us on a wild goose chase of the Singularity, but you already knew that we changed history by saving Demichev's life. So it shouldn't really be a big surprising plot twist that in order to fix history, we need to stop ourselves from saving Demichev's life. It's obvious. That said, it is quite surprising that a future version of ourselves has already gone back in time and tried to do that, and they've already failed. That's quite surprising. Also quite surprising is that if you take too long to make your choice, Demichev will pick the gun back up and shoot you and Borisov. That's pretty in keeping with his character though. He's not going to just stand there and wait for you to kill him. So let's just rewind time and have another go at making that choice.
Use the TMD in the Singularity. Travel back in time and kill yourself.
Well, that certainly sounds like an attractive offer. Or you can prove your loyalty to me by killing Borisov, and I will grant you unlimited power. Make your choice, Captain.
Let's weigh up those options, shall we? We could continue to side with Borisov, the guy who had 50 years to come up with a good plan and yet completely ballsed it up, and whose new plan is literally suicide. Or we could side with Demichev, the guy who successfully ruled the world for 50 years. I'm sorry, Borisov, but they call me your evil twin for a reason.
No, Captain.
Well done, Captain Renko. I see you have what it takes to rule the world.
Chancellor Demichev is the only survivor of Katorga 12. Any mention of Borisov is wiped from history. With the TMD at your disposal, you and Demichev now control the Singularity. Katorga 12 becomes pivotal in Demichev's final push to remove all remnants of rebellion against his leadership. As commander of the military, you forge Demichev's forces into an unstoppable war machine. You even train some of the island's creatures in combat. You use them as a first-wave assault in all major battles. Millions are forced into slave labor. With the full power of the Singularity and you at the helm of the military, any pockets of resistance around the world are weeded out. Mir 12 proves difficult at first, but with the TMD by your side, they do not stand a chance. In the years that follow, tensions build within the ruling Russian dictatorship. Your knowledge of advanced weaponry and control of the TMD allows your support to grow. Some believe you are more powerful than Chancellor Demichev himself. Demichev recognizes this and begins a secret weapons development program in the former United States. There are even rumors he's created his own TMD. Conflict seems inevitable as the world once again finds itself in the midst of a Cold War between two superpowers.
That was pretty cool. We got to be head of the military, and lead an army of both troops and mutants. We ended up conquering the world, and we even became more powerful than Demichev himself. It's a shame though that Demichev became jealous and it led to a new Cold War. I suppose it does suck for the millions of people forced into slavery. Yeah, it wasn't quite so great for them. I think we can do better. Demichev, you've had a pretty good innings as dictator of the world for 50 years. But Borisov's right, you are a monster. In fact, you're a massive bag of dicks, and it's time your rule came to an end.
My God, he's dead. Captain, you just killed the most powerful man in the world. But this changes nothing. To correct history, you must go back in time and stop yourself from saving Demichev in the burning building.
Borisov, I'm afraid there's no polite way to put this. You're an idiot. You want me to kill my past self and paradox myself out of existence. But Demichev was right, you've got a terrible grasp of time travel logic. This facility is full of messages scrawled by other versions of myself telling me not to trust you and to stop trying to change history. I think it's time I listen to myself.
No, Captain.
With Dr. Beresov and Chancellor Demichev dead, the knowledge of E99 and Katorga 12 dies with them. You disappear and become a legend in the years to come. Most believe you never existed in the first place. The whereabouts of the TMD are unknown. Weeks pass before the bodies of Demichev and Beresov are discovered. The murders are never solved. The death of Chancellor Demichev was the first step in ending Russia's grip on the world. The USSR quickly dissolves into feuding factions all vying for power. Wars erupt across the globe as casualties rise into the millions. With their newfound freedom, Mir 12 grows in strength and influence. While they continue their fight against the Russian military, they also begin a manhunt for Dr. Beresov's murderer. To this day, they have been unsuccessful. With the TMD removed from Katorga 12, the Singularity destabilizes. A massive explosion destroys the eastern coast of Russia and stretches as far as the prison state of Alaska. A group of Katorga 12 creatures escapes to the Russian mainland and overruns New China. There are rumors of a secret army taking over parts of the former United States. Their leader remains a mystery, but is said to be ruthless, laying waste to all who stand in his way. It is believed his plans involve world domination. His following grows every day. Some claim he is able to summon incredible power, as if he controlled the hand of God himself.
Mwah! 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 Yes, that's what I'm talking about. A ruthless leader with the hand of God on the path to world domination. It's a shame about the fall of Demichev's empire leading to a war that killed millions. It's also a shame about the Singularity exploding, that killed millions as well. And of course all those Katorga 12 mutants overwhelming New China. Yeah, that ending does have a pretty high death toll. I suppose we should rewind time and give it another go. Ugh. Sacrifice ourselves for the greater good? On the upside, at least we do get to kill that bag of dicks again.
My God, he's dead. Captain, you just killed the most powerful man in the world. But this changes nothing. To correct history, you must go back in time and stop yourself from saving Demichev in the burning building.
Oh, shut up, Beresov, or I'll change my mind and shoot you like Demichev. I don't think you actually need to shoot Demichev to get this ending. I think you can just turn around and use the TMD on the Singularity. Demichev won't shoot you in the back unless you stand around for 20 seconds. Yeah, the design of the reactor, as well as the damage to the reactor and the reactor building, is a bit different in this timeline. Since we destroyed the first reactor with the E99 bomb and then Demichev rebuilt it, this is actually Singularity Reactor Mark II. Well, let's open a time rift and go commit suicide. Yay! Here we are, back at the start of the game. And there's yourself, Captain Renko, carrying Demichev to safety. Renko, stop! Don't let Demichev live! And time loops, giving us another chance to put things right. Well, how about we just simply shoot Demichev? That should fix things. But no, time immediately loops the moment you shoot him. That was yet another failed attempt to change history. We once again ended up becoming Crazy Renko, scrawling messages on the walls. Perhaps that's because Demichev's colleagues managed to save his life with a health pack? Or maybe Beresov's right, and it is Renko that is the anomaly. Even with Demichev dead, we'll still be running around Katorga 12, And when another time anomaly sends us back to the 50s, we'll end up screwing something else up. The only way to be sure that history gets put back on its original course is if Renko is removed from the equation.
Hammer 2-1, Red Fleet Actual, you are now entering Katorga 12 airspace.
Roger that, Red Fleet. Continuing on this vector. ETA to target 3 minutes.
I don't know why they keep making us do this run. Not like we ever see anything. Military intelligence. What a joke.
Hammer 2-1, maintain present speed and heading.
Copy that, Red Fleet.
I never get tired of seeing that.
Hammer 2-1, false alarm. Repeat, false alarm. Your mission has been scrubbed, head on home.
Ha! What'd I tell you? There's never anything interesting here. Right, comrade?
And there we are! History returned to its proper course. Katorga 12 is a giant monument dedicated to the genius of Dr. Barasov, and there's no unusual activity happening on the island, so Comrade Renko and Comrade Devlin can happily return home to Soviet America. So, that was all 3 endings for Singularity. Be sure to stick around till after the credits. There's an extra scene that's pretty cool and sheds some more light on the game's story. But yeah, the good ending. I love it. Of course it's a bit surprising that you're somehow alive and that you remember what happened, but other than that, at first it seems like you've actually succeeded, that time has been rewound and all the events of the game have been undone. But then they give you these little hints that things aren't quite as they should be. The radio call signs are different. At the start of the game, the helicopters were called Spartan Team, and we were taking orders from Titan 1 Actual. But now the helicopter is called Hammer 2-1, and we're taking orders from Red Fleet Actual. They redo the opening credits, but this time they're in Russian, or at least in Russian-style Cyrillic letters. The American helicopters have Soviet hammer and sickles on them. It's not obvious, I don't zoom in on it or put it right in your face, but it's there. Devlin has the wrong assault rifle. Instead of the Scar assault rifle from the original intro, he's actually holding the AR-9 Valkyrie. Again, there's no close-up, they don't make it too obvious. But then they show you the giant Barasov statue, wearing the TMD that you no longer have. And Devlin calls you Comrade. It's a great Twilight Zone twist. So, what actually happened? We went back in time and killed past Renko in the burning building, which made sure that our past self wouldn't save Demichev from the fire, and it also made sure that our past self couldn't go wandering around Katorga 12, getting mixed up in random time travel accidents and screwing up history in other ways. Of course, shooting past Renko also caused ourselves, future Renko, to fall over dead as well, because it suddenly turned out that we had a bullet in the head for the past 24 hours. If you think back to early in the Let's Play, you might remember that we came across a wall covered in crazy writing and pictures. And at the end, Demichev revealed that those messages were left by another version of ourselves. A version of Renko that went crazy trying to fix the timeline over and over again. That wall had about 100 tally marks on it. 100 times that crazy version of Renko went round and round in time. That's 100 failed attempts to fix history. You can bet that a whole bunch of those failed attempts included killing Demichev, but that was never enough to fix things. Each time, something else went wrong. That's why going back in time to kill yourself seemed like the best way to break the cycle and restore the original timeline from the start of the game. In that original timeline, Demichev died in the fire, Barasov became head of Katorga 12, and then Moscow put Borisov under lots of pressure and he rushed things, causing a disaster that killed everyone on the island. There was no Singularity, no mutants, no Soviet victory, just a big explosion and everyone died. Weirdly, however, even killing yourself wasn't enough to restore that original timeline. So the big question is, why is that? Why didn't the suicidal time paradox actually work? Well, my best guess is that after we killed ourselves in the fire, there were 3 corpses found in the ruins of the burnt building. One of those corpses was Demichev, the second corpse was past Renko, the one that we shot, and the third corpse was yourself, future Renko, wearing the amplified TMD. Killing your past self also killed the future version of yourself, but it didn't make your body disappear. So there were 2 copies of the same American soldier, both with the same bullet in the head, and one of those bodies was wearing the supercharged version of the TMD. This meant that when Borisov took over Katorga 12, he had something amazing to show Moscow, a completed version of his new invention, with unlimited energy for aging and renewing objects, gravity manipulation, and an unlimited ability to freeze things in bubbles of frozen time. That was enough to impress Moscow and allow Borisov to continue running Katorga 12, without him needing to rush anything, so there was no disaster. Of course, we can't be completely sure that's what happened. Maybe they never found the TMD in the ruins. It might have been destroyed by the fire. Or maybe the time paradox of killing yourself actually caused future Renko's body and the TMD to completely vanish. Even so, that might not matter, because just finding the body of past Renko could have been enough to change the timeline. Just imagine it. They find a corpse wearing a modern American military uniform, American dog tags, and modern equipment, such as a present-day radio with circuitry that would be really futuristic by 1950 standards. The components might even have dates of manufacture on them. That's evidence of American spies, and of time travel. Borisov could report to Moscow that the E99 research on Katorga 12 is so important that American spies are time travelling from the future and starting fires to try and stop them. Well, that would certainly convince Moscow that E99 research is pretty damn important. And let's not forget Devlin. At the start of the game, we teamed up with Devlin to fight a bunch of mutants, and then Demichev shot him. But since by killing ourselves we also killed Demichev, there was no Singularity explosion to create those mutants, and there was no Demichev to kill Devlin. So we've got no idea what happened to that version of Devlin. He might have been wandering around alone on Katorga 12, and then got caught in another time wave, and then he went back in time and changed something else. Perhaps he's actually the one that messed up history. So there's actually lots of possible explanations. I do still think though that the most likely one is that future Renko's body was found, and then Borisov got his hands on the supercharged TMD. Now, the reason I'm convinced that's really what happened is there's actually a clue on that wall of crazy messages we found early in the game. In the middle, it says, "The many deaths of me," and at the bottom, it says, "They took my arm. They will take my arm again. Take it again. Back tomorrow." So it seems like crazy Renko, who's going round and round in time, already tried something like this before. There were already other timelines in which we died, and then Borisov of Demichev took the TMD. In fact, the bit about the many deaths of me suggests that Renko remembers timelines where he died. That whenever Renko dies, he wakes up as a different version of himself in an alternate timeline. It might seem weird that in the ending, Renko went back in time and committed suicide, and then woke up in the helicopter with Devlin. But when you really think about it, that's actually been happening throughout the entire game. Whenever you get killed or screw up an objective, the game loads the last checkpoint with a swirly white vortex, like some kind of time travel effect. So maybe what we assume is a standard video game checkpoint mechanic is actually a part of the game's story. It's not just the player that experiences dying and replaying that part of the game again. Renko actually experiences that too. Maybe that's because of the time loop. We did already see a future version of ourselves at the start of the game, trying to stop us from saving Demichev. So it was our destiny to go back in time and for past Renko to see future Renko. So until that happened, the universe or time itself wouldn't allow Renko to die until that time loop had been resolved. Of course, now we have actually resolved that time loop by shooting past Renko. And that's created a new timeline in which we never even landed on Katorga 12 at all. If the plan had worked like it was meant to, and we'd restored the original timeline, then we'd now be properly and completely dead. Even if time travelers have immunity to paradoxes and you can survive your past self being shot, we'd still be trapped in that burning room and being crushed by falling debris or burnt to death. But since we didn't fix things properly, instead we accidentally created a new history where there was no Katorga 12 disaster. So there was no wave of energy to crash the helicopter or send any version of Renko back in time. As a result, we're alive. We never get shot or killed by a fire. So Renko probably won't get the chance to do any more time travelling. He's just a regular guy now who can get killed or die of old age like anyone else. And he's probably just going to have to live with this new timeline. He has to accept that this is now reality. I wonder if Renko has two sets of memories. If he remembers the events of the game, but also gets memories of living in this new timeline. Or whether he goes back to America and is then totally baffled that everything has changed. Perhaps we never had any chance of fixing things. The best we could ever hope for was a close enough timeline. One that's not too bad, not too far from our original world. Of course, what we've ended up with, though, is a world that's quite a bit different from our own. Some people think this twist at the end means Singularity doesn't have a happy ending. If you refuse to sacrifice yourself for the greater good, then you get bad, selfish endings. But if you do go back in time to kill yourself, you just end up with one mad scientist dictator being replaced with another mad scientist dictator. We did come across messages on the wall saying, "Don't trust Borisov." So you've got to wonder, is that because his plan to fix history was doomed to fail? Or was it because that version of Renko had discovered that Borisov was actually dangerous and ruthless? And if given half a chance, he would conquer the world, just like Demichev did. There was a message on the Pearl, the sunken ship, saying, "He sunk it, all those people dead." The most likely person that message was about was Borisov. If it was true, that's pretty damn ruthless. We don't know why he sank it. Maybe he did it because he somehow knew that Renko would need the E-99 bomb in the future? Or maybe it was because he didn't want the Soviet Union from getting the E-99 bomb. He thought it was too terrible a weapon to ever be used. But still, that's a willingness to sacrifice a whole bunch of lives for what he considers the greater good. And similarly, in the original timeline, he didn't want to shut down Katorga 12 when Moscow told him to, and he ended up causing a disaster that wiped out everyone on the island. So the new timeline that we've created could really be showing the full extent of Borisov's ruthless streak, that when given great power he wasn't much better than Demichev. Is that right though? Is this another bad ending? Was there any way this could actually be a good ending, a happy ending? Well, although the giant statue of Borisov wearing the TMD might mean that he ended up using TMD to become ruler of the world, it could instead be a monument to the world's greatest scientist, who revolutionized civilization. Sure, Demichev liked to replace statues of Lenin and Stalin with statues of himself, but the statue of Borisov could have been built by people who actually wanted to honor him. And even if Borisov did end up becoming the premier of the worldwide Soviet Union, I personally think it's unlikely that it's a Demichev-style dictatorship. Sure, Borisov used to go on about "for communist victory" and praised Lenin and Stalin, but he was a citizen of the Soviet Union. There's nothing wrong with being patriotic. And unlike Demichev, there's lots of evidence that Borisov has strong morals and a conscience. His notes and recordings show that he hoped the TMD could be used to help the world. He refused to run tests on human beings, and although Borisov originally came up with the idea for the Singularity reactor, he later changed his mind and he refused to help Demichev build it. Of course, the best evidence that this is a happy ending is the fact that Renko and Devlin are alive and well, and they're taking orders from guys with American accents. That means that communist victory was achieved without nuking the US of E-99 bombs. Instead, it's simply the case that Russia won the Cold War. The economy of a TMD-powered USSR would easily outpace the US and Europe. You can grow a field of crops in minutes, so it's easy to feed the masses. Got some nasty nuclear waste or landfill sites full of garbage? Age it 1,000,000 years until there's nothing left. Want to build some new homes or even a new city? Well, the ability to levitate heavy objects and create bubbles of frozen time could be really useful in the construction industry. So when the Berlin Wall came down, it was because Western capitalism had crumbled, rather than the Soviet communism. So personally, that's what I like to think we accomplished. We failed in restoring our own world, but we prevented a disaster that killed thousands of people. And we ended up accidentally causing the world's most brilliant scientists to bring about world peace. And if that's the case, then it's actually a very happy ending indeed. Right, now it's time for the bonus scene after the credits. Wow, plot twist. It seemed like Catherine got killed off screen while we were on the Pearl, and then the game completely forgot about her. But no, it turns out that when the ship reverted and sank, Catherine got time warped back to 1955. When we met Catherine, we found out that she was part of Mir 12, a resistance movement who had a journal with prophecies about the future, saying that Renko is the only one who can stop Demichev. But it was actually Catherine herself who wrote that journal in the first place. Also, now we know where Mir 12 got its name. Mir stands for Moscow Initiative Research. That was written above the office that Catherine went into. And the cover of the book said Moscow Initiative Research Journal, Volume 12. One weird thing though, when Catherine was in the corridor, there were scientists running about, and the sound of soldiers shooting in the background. Don't know why though. You'd think that maybe it's because it was the same day that Demichev tried to get the TMD from Borisov, and his soldiers shot a whole load of scientists. But all that happened on November 5th, 1955, while the ending movie with Catherine says that it's 2 days later, November 7th. That's the date we got time warped back to the docks, and it's the same date that the Pearl sank. So I don't know why there's a load of scientists running about on November 7th. Maybe Raven made a mistake and muddled up the dates. Or maybe that's a date that another version of Renko tried to change things. Crazy Renko was going round and round in time. Maybe he showed up in the research labs on November 7th and started shooting up the place. He did try changing history 100 different ways. Another thing that's a little weird is that the ending bit with Catherine plays after the credits no matter which ending you choose. But really it only makes sense if you choose either of the bad endings. In the good ending, where you go back and kill yourself, this bit with Catherine in 1955 wouldn't actually happen, because there's no Demichev, no Singularity, it's a completely different timeline. But I suppose it would suck if people that chose the good ending and didn't try the other endings never got to see this bit with Catherine. so they always play it after the credits. But actually, if we assume that Catherine still gets born in this new timeline where Borisov changed the world, well, she probably never goes to Katorga 12. She's living happily in Soviet-controlled England. So yeah, that's the finale of Let's Play Singularity. There might still be a few more videos, such as videos of the multiplayer or some other bonus videos showing off some other cool things, but that's the ending for the single player campaign. The review section of the menu lets us take a look at some statistics of all the cool things we've done in the game, both single player and multiplayer. On the console versions, it tells you how close you are to getting achievements or trophies, like how many more kills you need with a certain weapon, how many more shields you need to grab with your TMD gravity power. But since the PC version doesn't have achievements, it just tells you how many times you've done each thing. But yeah, I'd like to thank everyone who's watched and enjoyed this Let's Play. I know that some of you have been watching this Let's Play ever since I first started it 3 years ago, so thank you for your patience. And on the other hand, if you've only just recently discovered this Let's Play and you've marathoned the whole thing, I'd like to thank you too. And I'd especially like to thank all of you that left kind comments and words of encouragement. Some of you came up with some really cool theories and suggestions and explanations of things. And some of you were really grateful for me adding subtitles to the in-game dialogue, so I'm really glad I did that. Some of you translated bits of Russian dialogue or text. That was great, thanks for that. I've really enjoyed making this Let's Play, and it's great to know that so many people have enjoyed watching it as well. Be sure to check out my other Let's Plays, and thank you very much for watching.